Brent. Yo, what's up? This your boy Derek Brent here, strike7sports.com. This is another episode of Strike 7 Sports Podcast. Joined by my co-host Brian Bottom, Leo Seabear. This is another episode of Strike 7 Sports Podcast. So tonight we got a special guest with us, a guy I know a long time ago, back on these social media streets, internet streets, from these Google Plus days, Facebook,
Yep.
sports aficionado, know everything about Alabama football, basketball, the SEC, Houston Rockets aficionado as well. Like to welcome Carey Woods to the show of Ball About the South podcast. What's good, man?
Oh man, it's all good. What's going on with y'all tonight?
Chilling, man. Chilling, man. This great to have you on tonight. We're not gonna be that long.
I
Just talk about
appreciate it, man.
Alabama. Appreciate it. Talk about Alabama, LSU's my LSU Tigers hated rival, but it's all good.
Yeah,
But
it's all good.
we're gonna go right into it. Alabama, didn't get the result that they were looking for this past season, but regards to the football team, lost to LSU in the regular season, lost to Tennessee, pretty much couldn't qualify to get into the SEC championship game or the CFP. Georgia repeated as national champions. And, a lot of people, the narrative is kind of shifting towards Georgia, being that team that powerhouse in college football. But I just want to ask you, how do you see it? Do you think that Georgia has a leap past Alabama in that aspect, is the top team in the SEC in college football as a whole? What do you think?
Yeah, man, you gotta kind of gotta say that they have. Sit there and win two straight. They did. They've only beaten us one time though, because they beat us in the 21 championship, 22 at the end of 21 season. So they've only beaten us one time, but you got to kind of give them that honor, man. To sit there and go back to back. Nick Saban's won 6 championships, and we only went back to back that one time in 11 and 12. So, you know what I'm saying? You kind of got to give them that nod right now. And then you sit there and look where Alabama is at the moment. You got some question marks, obviously, offensive and defensive. Coaching, changes here and there or whatever. So, yeah, you have to give Kirby and them that nod right now.
All right. What do you think, Leo?
I agree. I think that Georgia is the king of they're the big dogs of the SEC right now. As he would just explain, they're doing their thing. It just Georgia's been these last 2 years have just been a blur. It feel like Georgia's been dominant in every situation they've been put in. They won games with dominant defense, explosive offenses, and really, it'll be interesting to see what they do this year with obviously the switch to no more Stetson Bennett. So it'll be obviously a new quarterback in there. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this year. But these last 2 years have just really shown Kirby Smart has put Georgia on a pedestal above these other SEC schools, including Alabama, respectfully.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, Georgia is definitely. You can make the case they're one of the premier. They're the best team. Well, not the best team in the country, but they're a team you respect every year coming in and out from here on out after they won the past few years. But right now, if I had to pick a team to win the SEC, I'd probably go with Bama or LSU or something. I wouldn't pick Georgia just this year because they lost a lot, and most importantly, they lost their quarterback. So are they a team that people respect more? Yeah. But are they the team to beat this year? No.
All right. All right. So I also want to ask you this. So now in the SEC, in both divisions, you got Brian Kelly, you got Kirby Smart, SEC West, you got Sam Pittman. You have also have Texas coming over with Steve Sarkisian, Brett Venables. Do you think that the it's going to be hard for Bama to compete for that for a championship where those coaches are in the conference.
He was lagging. He may have just left.
He left.
Yeah, maybe he may come back, but I guess I can go with that.
Good.
You're basically saying, I'm sorry, I kind of got lost with that because I was looking. Can you summarize what you were asking again?
I was asking with these coaches in the conference now with Brian Kelly, Kirby Smart, Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel, will it be difficult harder for Alabama to compete for championships going forward?
As long as they have Nick Saban, they'll have a shot. The moment that changes, then Alabama would just be a regular SEC team. But as long as they have Nick Saban, then you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We got it, man. It's all good, man. I want to ask you, man.
Yeah.
With now that we got an SEC in both divisions, we got Kirby Smart, we got Brian Kelly, Josh Heupel, and also we're gonna have Steve Sarkisian coming over in the to the conference, along with we got Sam Pittman in the SEC West and Lane Kiffin. Do you think it's gonna be difficult for Alabama to get to the national championship, the SEC championship games with those coaches in the conference?
No, I don't. I don't think nothing is changed in the West, man. Now, and then you gotta look at it. Yesterday we're going to teams in the playoff anyway, and so I think it's setting up, man. Man, look, Nick is gonna be just fine, man. You kind of worry about what's going on with obviously we'll talk about Georgia, but in the West. I don't see any of those teams going ahead of Alabama. Okay, Texas. We'll see what Sark does. They got Manning and Ewers at quarterback coming back this season. I don't know what they're gonna look like in their first season in the SEC. I'm still not feeling Venables at Oklahoma. I'm not feeling that at all, man. You know what I'm saying? And then when I've talked about Jimbo till I can. Man, you know what I'm saying? I don't see the West changing at all. I just don't see it, man. I think everything's going to be just cool. And then we go to 12 teams in the playoffs. Yeah, it's going to be crazy, man. I think it's going to be cool. I don't see no problems, man.
We'll see that.
Nah, I really don't. Not right now. I'm not, and I'm not trying to look biased or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I just, I really don't. I mean, we'll see what Sark does. It's gonna be interesting this season to see what Sark does. You know what I'm saying, man? Huh? I hear you, man. I hear you. So I don't see nothing changing for real. But then now, you have to keep Brian Kelly on your mind. To me. I don't see no reason why it won't be Alabama, LSU, even when Oklahoma and Texas come into the league. I still like the hire by LSU. I know a lot of folks still talking about, they don't know why they got Brian Kelly and whatever, but I've always liked the hire from day one. And I think, so I would say that Saban and Kelly would be the top two coaches in the West, even when the Oklahoma and Texas come in.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Yep.
What you got, Leo?
I think even like you said, in the West, pretty much like you said, she would. Bama, from a coaching standpoint, until Nick Saban goes, he's going to be the best coach in that conference. It's not even, in that portion of the West, there's not no question with that. Now I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little more higher on Venables than y'all are, because I feel like when he gets to the SEC, they're gonna. Well, if he survives this year, if they get to the SEC, I think he'll get better recruits. He'll get those players. You're getting great talent at Oklahoma, but you get to the SEC, you're gonna get a different type breed of player. So I think that he's gonna survive. This little struggles that he had last year, and those people, I'm sorry, because Manny's are known for winning. And when Ewers goes to the NFL, it's going to be Arch's team. And I'm not gonna lie. That's gonna be what other quarterback would you want to have making a transition to the SEC than a Manning?
Yeah.
That's big, and knowing that he's gonna be there for at least 3 years. Well, probably probably 2 years if he's just gonna go to the NFL and probably
Yeah.
redshirt this year. But like I said, what better quarterback would you want to have? And so I'm a little more higher on those Texas schools in Oklahoma than y'all are. But I like y'all said, Saban and Coach Kelly, and watch for Texas A&M if Jimbo can get them right. If and it's a big if now, but if he can get them right, watch out.
Man, look.
I,
So you got. So you got.
I'm good, man. I was
Man,
just laughing.
look, when I see Texas in there, man, I just think of a bad NFL team that got a lot of cap space. Got all the talent, but just you can't put it together.
Put it together.
And, and it's like they like they like NC State for basketball. You know what I'm saying? They're in the same state with Duke, but it's just Duke and North Carolina, but it just ain't there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They got the
Yep.
same type of resources. It just it'll come together. But for me, man, I just think it's gonna be LSU and Alabama, man, and LSU and Alabama against Georgia in the SEC East, man, or Tennessee. I'm not. I don't know about Billy Napier down in Florida. Um, that used to be a really good program, man.
Yep.
Crazy what happened to that team, that region, but I'm not sold on South Carolina, no. Missouri, no. I just still feel a certain way about it still in the SEC. It just feel weird, man. That school up in the SEC, but it is what it is. But I just think it's to be Brian Kelly and Nick Saban against Georgia, most likely for championships. And I'll wait and see what Texas does. And Oklahoma, if you said Lincoln Riley was still there, I'll probably, it probably have a shot. I don't know, man. So we'll see how it play out. I also want to ask you, man, this past season, you lost 2 games during the regular season. That's kind of uncommon with Alabama. Kind of they're in a lot of close games. That's another thing that's uncommon for Alabama during the regular season. Just in your own opinion, what do you think went wrong last season?
It was good. I think it was several things, man. The defense, I think it started with the defense. It came down to just like the LSU game. You get the lead late, and usually both games, Tennessee and LSU score on basically the last drive, last second. LSU game went to overtime, but same thing. The defense couldn't get stops when they had to get them, and it's not because a lot of people talk about the defense, Pete Golden, and Alabama fans came down hard on him and all of that. And I'm sitting there like, man, if you sit there and look around college football, you're not holding teams in no 20 points no more. You can't win 23-20 no more. Okay, so that's why obviously Alabama's done what they did with the offense. You had Sark and all them, change the offense. But you couldn't stop it when it was about getting stops when they had to get a stop. It wasn't about like Alabama just was shutting everybody out. I mean, look, we gave up points to Georgia in a couple games. We gave up points to Clemson in a couple of those championship games. It wasn't like we was shutting them out. So you had to get stops when you had to get them, and that was the difference. Alabama couldn't. That was the difference in this team. And then I think not being able to kind of run when Alabama wanted to run the ball. That was the other thing. Not being not being able to keep things going, things like that. And I think that kind of hurt Bryce a little bit. That kind of, and then obviously we didn't have Jameson Williams on the outside. We didn't have Devontae Smith. We didn't have Ruggs. So we didn't have that threat. So it was several little things. It wasn't just one big thing.
All right. You got any ad lib?
I feel that like Bama is. I know Bryce Young. Like I know they had they shit. They just started having elite. See what you would agree that aside from Hurts and Tua, um, y'all haven't had really one with elite quarterbacks. And Bryce Young is the newest rendition of that elite quarterback. Y'all won a lot, like you said, y'all won a lot of high scoring games and whatnot. Y'all lost some high scoring games too, though. So
Yep.
I just I really think that the people say the defense slacked off, but there were times in when that defense looked really throwback Bama-ish. So I'm not gonna say it was. So, and some of it was their offense not putting them in great positions either, though. That way as good as hopefully we can talk about the guy Jameer Gibbs was. Jameer Gibbs and the crew, as good as they were at times, they put their sometimes they didn't always come through for them, and they put the defense in tough positions. Will Anderson and the crew, they did the best they could, but you can't win. You can't win them all, and simply put, the LSU loss, and who was the other loss again? To
Tennessee.
Tennessee loss.
Yep.
High scoring teams, high
Yep.
octane offenses. You would Tennessee's coach is a mastermind of the offensive. Josh Heupel, an offensive genius. Shoot. Heck, Brian Kelly and Notre Dame. I'm not gonna lie. I will say this: Brian Kelly's offenses at Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken, they weren't that good. They weren't this dynamic.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
He won
Yeah.
with guys like Eric. He won with guys like Eric Golson at quarterback and Ian Book. No offense, DB, but Ian Book and whatnot. So
Ian Book.
Yep. So it's like the quarterbacks weren't that dynamic, and well, it was surprising that LSU was able to pull that out. But yeah, I think Alabama going into next year. Obviously, with DB, y'all will highlight later going in the pod about. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about next year as we get into later on to the pod. So.
All right. Brian, the guy then?
Yeah. The number one thing that stood out this year for Alabama was you saw so many times they were getting pushed around. And the number one thing, line of scrimmage, that's how you win the game. And that's what, when you thought of Alabama, when you feared them and back in their heyday, line of scrimmage is what you thought of. And they just didn't have it. And this team, I remember Coach Saban saying this team also wasn't as disciplined. And he knew this team wasn't potentially going to live up to their full potential. Like he saw that earlier in the season. And so it's unfortunate that they wasted a great talent like Bryce Young, because I don't think there are going to be many Bryce Youngs coming through Alabama anytime. So,
yeah. So, the other way I see it is that kind of agree with everybody that said on the topic, but you just didn't have those burners on the outside, man. You didn't have a Devontae Smith, you didn't have a John Mechie, not Jameer Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Jerry Judy. You just had burners on the outside that could get you touchdowns, man. And when I noticed something was off with Alabama was in that Texas game.
Yep.
When it was getting manhandled in the trenches, I'm just kind of like, wait, man, it's a Big 12 team, but they're not supposed to be doing that to Alabama, man. But I knew something was going to be off for the season when I saw that. Then when they played Tennessee, it just went off the rails, but they fought back in the game. But I think it maybe could get back on track this season, man. And I was listening to like Paul Feinbaum was down here in Memphis a while back. He was just talking about Alabama, and he was saying that there's a chance that Bama could go back, Saban could go back to his roots of where you got a quarterback, but he's not like an NFL prospect. You go back to that AJ McCarron, John Coker, the guy at ESPN. He's what his name is? McElroy.
Blake Film.
Quarterbacks like seems like Georgia's built right now. You got a really good defense, running game. Multiple good running backs. What are your thoughts on that? Or do you think that's the way to go, or you should continue to find those NFL guys, QBs?
Oh yeah, I agree with that, especially if you go with Jalen Milroe this season, man. And actually, I'm kind of looking forward to that. Tommy Reeves now is obviously the new offensive coordinator from Notre Dame, like we were just talking about. Now, I kind of like Notre Dame's offense. They may not have been necessarily explosive back there, but I like them where they kind of focus on the tight end. Um, their running game was pretty strong to a degree because, like I was saying, they didn't have Bryce Young, they didn't have Stroud or somebody like that. They had Ian Book and all those guys.
Yeah.
So, but they were always good enough to in the trenches. They have good running game, use the tight end, all of that. So yeah, they're gonna go back to that. And I think the additional, for me, I think Jalen Milroe, obviously Jalen Milroe and Simpson, that's going to be the big. That's obviously the big story in spring practice, and going to be till fall practice start. I think Milroe brings a real physicality to that team, where maybe like a Tim Tebow light, maybe. You know what I'm saying? You're getting short yardage, things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. You sit there and let him keep it, whatever. Run that option or whatever. So, yeah, I think getting back to those roots is a real good possibility this season. That's probably what he was looking at when he got Tommy Reeves, man.
So you think that so who's your choice for starting QB then?
I'm hoping for Milrow, but
Milrow?
now as a fan, I don't care, man. Whoever's the best, but I'm hoping for Milrow. I think he kind of gets like everybody's kind of writing him off because he had the game against Texas A&M or whatever. Could he had a couple of interceptions in that game, and he was kind of maybe had a little inaccuracy going on or whatever. But I'm sitting there like, man, first of all, Texas A&M. Now we can talk about Jimbo all we want. Texas A&M might have been the best defense in the SEC last year. It was
You right. You
close.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they were playing Vanderbilt and he was throwing these interceptions or something like that. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I think Milroe is going to be just fine. And then, like I said, y'all saw the man running the ball, man. I mean, that physicality that he has, it brings back thoughts of Jalen Hurts and all that. You know what I'm saying? So I can see it. I'm trying to tell you. I mean, then you got that stable of backs to go along with it. I think it's going to be cool.
All right, man. You got anything to add, Brian?
Yeah, I want to see Milrow. Like Steve Wood said, I really think Simpson may be better long term, but I
Yeah.
want to see Milrow get a shot. I really like what I think it was the Arkansas game he came in and he really looked good. So I want to see him get a shot with Tommy Reese. I think that could be a nice marriage.
Who
I
you
agree.
think, Bill?
I hate to be the contrarian of the group. I want to see Simpson win the job. I just don't think Milrow is like he reminds me of Blake Sims with more mobility. Like
Mm.
y'all remember Blake Sims.
Yeah, I remember Blake Sims, yeah.
Sims
Yeah.
low ceiling, low everything. Like he was a good college quarterback. I'm not gonna lie, like he was a good college quarterback. But
But
I don't. But Milroy didn't even have Sims' arm. Like Sims had a decent arm at best. And Milroy didn't even have his arm. I watched Ty Simpson play in high school. In terms of like, I saw one of his games. I know people who played with him, and I've seen his tape. I feel like that red shirt year last year really benefited him. He got to
yeah,
learn. He got to grow into that offense. I think as spring practice ensues, and I think that as fall practice ensues, I think Simpson's going to be that guy where you're going to look at his physical traits and his arm, deep ball ability, his mechanics, and you're going to say, do we really Milroy? Yeah, he looks big. He looks like Cam Newton. Yeah, he
yeah,
looks the part. But can he make those throws because you're gonna have to make those throws in the SEC. You're gonna have to get those. You're gonna be in shootouts. Can you win a shootout with Jalen Milroy? We're gonna have to see. But I just think that I would prefer Simpson to get the job. But if Milroy gets it, so be it.
Yeah, man. I just gotta see a little more in Roy, man. I just got that small sample
yeah,
size from him. Ty Simpson, I never really heard of him, but we'll see how it play out once the season kicks off. I think Saban's gonna hold us to the vest, close to the vest, probably in that first or second game. we'll really reveal that starter. But so we'll see how it plays out.
Right.
Also, man, I want to ask you, man. I want to ask you this, man. But do you think Nick Saban is worried about NIL, man? Compared based on his statements, the statements that he's made in the past. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I do. I mean, I think it comes across as that, but man, look here. Saban is always the one to adapt. Man. I think he was kind of against it at first, man. You know, you were talking about the statements that he made, thing. But this dude adapt. You know what it is. I mean, um, we've seen it, man. We saw it with the quarterbacks that like the fast quarterbacks that Alabama had problems with back, like Manziel and all of them back in the day or whatever. So okay, so he adapted to that. Okay, then
Yeah.
said, well, okay, we can't Alabama. We don't really have any flashy quarterback. We don't have the offense is not where it need to be. Okay, so
You ain't got
he
that.
go get Kiffin. He takes care of that. Okay, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
now I think it's gonna be cool. He's now he's gonna have to convince the folk around here. That's been the biggest deal.
Really?
But yeah, man, the folk around here at first they were like, "Nah, man, this NIL, nah, that's gonna ruin college football and this, that, and the other." And then Nick Saban, hey, he's the most influential man in the state. Forget the governor. So you know how that go. And if Nick Saban
Yeah.
said it's gonna go, so I don't think it's the word, man. I think it's gonna be cool.
Yeah. No shame, bro.
The way I look at it, Nick Saban, his complaints with NIL, he's gonna get more resources than he had before. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just kind of like, man, why are you saying this stuff, man? I'm like, dude, you Alabama, man. And you a blue blood. You a college football blue blood. These these networks gonna make sure you got resources to build this team, bro. You
No
know,
doubt.
they're not gonna let shoot, they're not gonna let Houston or what's the other one, Cincinnati, these other,
Cincinnati
P5 school. Not well, used to be
used to
non
be used to be
P5 schools get into the CFP and win games like that. They're not gonna
right.
let that fly. But I think he's gonna be fine, man. So we'll see. All right, man. Now I want to ask you this: NFL draft coming up, right?
Yeah.
And Alabama that has got a nice little track record of some good quarterbacks coming through right now. Jalen Hurts, wins the Super Bowl. Tua Tagovailoa when he's healthy, he's pretty good. Mac Jones, I think they're doing him dirty down in New England, but
Yep.
we weapons around him. You see what he was about. And
Right.
now we got Bryce Young, who's supposed to be right now the projected #1 pick in the draft.
Right.
So I want to ask you, what do you think is the ceiling for Bryce Young at the professional level if he goes to Carolina?
See, that's the thing. If you'd have left off, if he goes to Carolina, then I'll probably say the sky. I mean, we know what Bryce Young can do, man. The only question about Bryce Young is his size. We all know that. I mean, you might make a case about his arm strength. He's not gonna be Marino or Brett Favre or somebody
Yeah,
like that with the arm strength. But other than that, he's gonna put the ball where it needs to be. And I mean, to be honest with you, though, I'm not as worried about his size as a lot of other people are, because you saw some plays where he was under attack. The Texas play, if y'all remember that play on that last
yeah,
drive when Alabama had to get down to get that field goal, his balance, the way he keeps his balance. Even when he gets hit, or if he's coming out of the pocket, the way he keeps his balance is uncanny, man. And so, I think those things are going to help him, even though he's is small. The issue is what's Carolina going to be like? You know what I'm
they got
saying?
some nice weapons, man.
I mean, yeah. They do. I mean, yeah. They starting to come up. They trying to be a little bit better than they were with Cam. Because we saw Cam and they
Yeah.
didn't do nothing for him, man. So if it's gonna be like that, then it's gonna be an uphill battle. But if they're gonna get him some weapons, they're gonna get their line of scrimmage issues straightened out or whatever. I think Bryce is gonna be just fine.
Staying Brian.
I think the Panthers can make the playoffs with Bryce Young. That's how high I am on Bryce Young. And also, the NFC South is wide open. And so
True.
their weapons maybe aren't the greatest, but they're solid enough where he can have a solid year. And also, their defense to me is what can potentially take them as far as they potentially want to get. Their defense is legit, and they have one of the bright defensive coordinators too in Avira. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Ajira. But yeah, I really am excited to see what the Panthers do. And assuming they're not stupid, they take Bryce Young and run with it. Because you just don't know it. Like, all right, I know the
You don't never know, man.
are doing something. You're probably not going to take quarterback, but you would be crazy to not take Bryce Young. Man, I wish the Titans were in this position.
Me too, man.
All right, go ahead, Leo.
Are y'all talking about who y'all think is gonna go number one?
No, we talking about question was what do you think the deal is with Bryce Young
Uh,
at the next level?
uh, I really haven't seen too many guys like him. Like, I mean, like in terms of the mobility or something, like he's like a Drew Brees type in terms of the size wise,
Hmm.
but he don't have the mobility. He has the mobility of
Russell
Russell
Wilson.
Wilson. Yeah, I was gonna say Russell Wilson. I say his feeling is like I say he could get the Panthers to the playoffs. And I think he'll be a player. Like they could be a contender if they get the right pieces. But I don't know if we're looking at Bryce Young and saying Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Like, can Bryce Young win a Super Bowl? That I don't know if I can see it. But then again, who saw Russell Wilson win the Super Bowl in his second year with the Seahawks? So I don't know. It's all about who they surround him with, supporting cast. I say he could become a Pro Bowl to all pro type. Now I have seen some comparisons of him as Tua Tagovailoa as his comparison. Diminutive, small quarterback with a big arm, with a little bit more,
Yeah.
with a little bit more mobility. So I left a right-handed Tua. That's what I see that comparison as well too. So I think that if they get him the right surround of supporting cast, he has the ability to be successful. But I'm just I'm kind of hesitant on with this, especially with the Panthers. While they do have a lot of offensive pieces now, like they added some people. They back into their defense but outside of the couple of their corners need a little work. So we'll see.
All right. As for me, Bryce Young to me is like the only quarterback that I actually like trust at the next level as being successful. I like CJ Stroud as well, but if I was a GM and number one, I'd take Bryce Young. I wouldn't trade out the pig, do none of that. If I was Houston, I would have went. Not Houston. I'd have went ahead and just lost that game.
No,
And
right.
that game, take the L and get that number one pick. But it is what it is. I like Bryce Young. Like y'all said, Carolina, you gotta, question, you know, their intentions. Are they gonna do it the right way? Because if y'all notice, this about the NFC South outside of the Saints. I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but a lot of teams in the division are inconsistent.
Oh yeah.
They'll win the division, go to playoffs, get a high seed in the playoffs. Next year they'll regress. We saw it with Atlanta. We saw it with Carolina, Tampa Bay
Yep.
before they got Tom Brady. There's a lot of consistency across the board. So they got to build a good team around Bryce Young, but it's going in the right way so far. So
Right.
we'll see how it play out. But I think it's going to be a really good. If they build it right, I think he'll have the team Carolina compete for championships consistently instead of every other 2 years like they did with Cam Newton. So I think that's the ceiling for Bryce Young. think
I agree.
he is like the Breeze to a certain extent, a little lighter. I think he has a better arm than Breeze. Saying I think he's I don't know if he could be as the field general as far as manipulate defense and all that other stuff. I don't know about that part yet, but that's an aspect that I like to see come out. But I think he's the most trusted prospect in the draft so far.
Uh,
All right, we're gonna segue to the NBA, man. Your Houston Rockets, man. You're not talking about that team online, but I want to ask
no,
you, man. They fired Steven Silas this past season, parted ways. So, who is your preferred choice for that be the head coach of that team right now?
I'm getting my top two. My top two, obviously, man. If you got Nick Nurse on your list, man, you gotta sit there and think about that. But you might be surprised with my second choice, Kenny Atkins, because
Nah, I'm not surprised.
okay, well, because look what he did with the Nets. When they were young, they had Karis LeVert and Dinwiddie
Jared
and
Allen.
Jared Allen, exactly, and they played hard every night, and he brought that young team around. So I would have them like right there at the number 1 and 2 spots. I'd love to see Kenny Atkinson get that job. I think it'd be perfect for our young team. And then I'll probably have to go with Vogel after that. That'd be my top three. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think, man, you sit there and you look at Vogel. Everybody's kind of blaming him what happened in LA. Obviously, yeah, okay, he's the head coach. You're gonna blame him. He gets blamed, right? But
Yeah.
you can't look how the team was made up, man. Now Frank Vogel could probably coach this Laker team. They got he has something to work with now. You got the team that they have now, Vanderbilt, and they got some athleticism. They got Achimura and all that. So I thought when they came down hard on Vogel, to me it wasn't exactly fair. So that'd be my top three, man. And I might even push Atkinson to the top. I like that dude.
Do you want him beyond? One beyond?
See, man. Okay, all right. You know what I'm saying? Obviously you love to have him, but man, I'm scared of that frame, man. I'm scared of that
He's scared of
frame. You know what I'm
Brandon.
saying? Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to wish nothing on him or nothing like that, but man, you sitting there, that wire is what 7'5", 7'4", and
Yeah.
what is he 200 pounds? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but yeah, other than his frame, absolutely. I mean, how could you not want him? But then again, I kind of like Scoot Henderson. You know what I'm saying? Because now I think the Rockets really need that floor general.
Mhm.
Scoot, I think, could be the guy to kind of because I'm not sure about KPJ. He's doing okay as a point guard, but I don't think he's a true point. So I think you have to have that guy. You got to identify who's going to be the floor general on that team. And I think we start there, and then I think you see Jalen Green's game go to a higher level. I think you see Jabari Smith's game go to a higher level, even though toward the end of the season, Jabari looked a lot better than he looked early. So, I probably would rather go with Scoot Henderson. And then, hey, if we don't get the top two picks, I wouldn't mind having Brandon Miller. You know what I'm saying? So, roll tide, man. So, but, I would say Scoot Henderson, to me, I would prefer him over Wembanyama.
But you think it's gonna be an issue like when Wembanyama gets to the league, you think it'll be an issue like a Zion issue where based on his posture, not one of his posture, but his structures, physical structure that could be an issue in the league, like staying
It,
healthy. So he's not built up.
it could be, man. Like I said, I'm not trying to wish nothing bad. I hope everything goes perfect with him. But Frank scared me, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. And you sit there and Chet Holmgren. What happened to Chet Holmgren? I can't remember what happened to him.
Bro, he got hurt in summer league, man.
In
Yeah,
some league, right? Okay. And you just wonder that frame, man, and going up against these pros. I mean, you sitting there Embiid and all them 82 nights. Well, it may not be 82 nights, but you know what I'm saying. You know how they they gonna take off some games. You know what I'm saying. But you know how that go.
Yeah,
But
I know.
you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying. I just don't know how that frame is gonna hold up. Full NBA season. And this dude, man, he hadn't even played over here much. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I'd have liked to have seen him maybe like a year in college or something like that. So that's what I'm saying. They San Antonio, whoever hey, good luck with him. That's all I can say. That's all I can say,
uh,
man.
Eric, because every person out here, man, they say like we don't want to be out. Man. I hear from Pistons fans, Spurs
Yep.
fans, we don't want to be on. So that's crazy, right? Um, so you think Brandon Miller's gonna be a legitimate player in the NBA, solid player?
Oh, I don't think it's in question, man. I mean, he's got some things he's got to work out. I mean, sometimes you can see that he's not as aggressive as you would like him to be. The ball doesn't come to him or whatever. I'm not gonna say he takes off plays or nothing like that, but I'd like to see him be a little, take over, take the ball and when the team need a hoop or whatever, he go out and he gets it. Okay, sometimes you saw him kind of disappear a little bit every now and then, but other than that, I mean, for me, he's got the body. Um, he's got the handles. And obviously, man, he shot, if I remember correctly, he shot close to 40% from 3-point range. Um, I think he's probably, obviously Jabari Smith is kind of about the same, not the same frame, but I think Jabari's legit 6'10", and Miller's legit 6'9". But I think they're kind of comparable. But I think you sit there and you look at Miller's handles, things like that, to me puts him ahead of even a guy like that. So, and I think Jabari Smith is going to be really good. So yeah, I think Miller with the right team is going to be fine.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
All right, man. We're gonna move it on to the NFL draft, man. Last topic. Um, Titans pick at number 11. What do you want them to do? Move the pick? Stay where they at? Draft a quarterback? What you got?
Uh, that's a good question because I mean it would go either way. Now, if you can sit there and tell me we're going to get Stroud or Bryce, which obviously more than likely is not going to happen, then obviously, yeah, I trade up. But obviously that's not going to happen. I don't see moving up trying to get Will Levis. Um, I wouldn't mind Anthony Richardson, but then you're talking about if you're trading up with the Cardinals at number 3, to me, that's too high to pick him right there. So I just want them to go out and get the best player that they can get right now. I mean, so who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe Anthony Richardson slides that far. I can't really say. So I'd rather them just go out and do what they can do, man, and get the best player available. Because other than that, I don't see you getting the quarterback that you really want. I mean, and then you still got Malik Willis. I mean, I'd like to see if he can develop. You know what I mean? You still have Tannehill. You know he's going to be the starters. So let's see what you got in Malik Willis, and then you got another crop of quarterbacks coming out next season anyway. It's not
Yeah,
in there, probably looking at another mediocre season from the Titans, probably another 7-10 season, if that. So you got another big crop, Caleb Williams, all those guys coming out next year. So just get the best player available, in my opinion.
what you got, Brian?
Yeah, I would try to get JSN. He reminds me, and a lot of people have said it, of Justin Jefferson. And so if you could add him with Ryan Tannehill should be the starter for this year, and then go all in for Caleb Williams next year. That's what I would want. So I don't. All these quarterbacks are good. If Bryce Young somehow
Yeah.
fell, I would go after him. But
Oh, no doubt.
yeah, but if he doesn't, then I'm willing to just wait one more year and then take it from there. We got a question in the chat. Do you think the Titans will trade Derrick Henry? I think they could, but I don't think they would do it until the trade deadline. So I think he starts the season as a Tennessee Titan.
Go ahead, Leo.
Uh, with the Titans, like I honestly think I was looking at our situation. I think they're gonna be bad next year. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
tank would be bad. Like no,
Even in a weak AFC South.
what you say?
Even in a weak AFC South.
I think Houston could be better than them next year.
Houston did beat
Uh,
them though.
yeah, man, that's no
They
disrespect
beat
to
us. They
y'all
beat us
too.
every year, man. I mean, it doesn't matter who the Texans got over there. They're gonna beat us. They're gonna find a way to beat the Titans.
Yeah, but in all seriousness though, I just feel like there's just I even know the Colts. Well, we don't know what the Colts will do. The Colts are a mysterious team. I don't know what they're gonna
Very.
do. They're very mysterious. But I think that okay, Jacksonville, I think they're the favorites to win our division, obviously. The Titans, they may be in the tank for Caleb Williams, see what because Brian was talking about this. They may be in the tank for him. Because
Hmm.
DB mentioned about, and I mentioned about throwing Malik. I throw Malik Willis out there. Give
I,
him 17.
I,
Give this man give this man the ability to show that he can play quarterback. Like he either can do it or he can't. And he
yep.
looked. I'm not gonna lie. He looked bad in his first couple of starts. And he got benched for that last game. But look, give him. He has a whole offseason to work with now. That throwing should be better. Give him this season to start. It, it, if the best case scenario, he's a good quarterback, and y'all don't have to worry about it. Worst case
Yep.
scenario, he stinks up the joint. And y'all are in the contention for Caleb Williams. I don't see
There
what
you go.
Tannehill getting you an 8-8 or 9-8 record, or barely having you in contention to where you're not good enough to make the playoffs and you're not bad enough to get the pick. I don't see why having starting Tannehill would be a viable option.
Okay. So all right, man. We'll close it out on this, man. Upcoming seasons for Alabama, man. How you think it's gonna play out? You got start off. You got of course you got to play Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's easy. But you got Texas coming to Tuscaloosa. You got Ole Miss at coming to Tuscaloosa. You go to Star Vegas. You go to College Station, Fayetteville. You go to Arkansas is coming to you. You go to Tennessee comes to Tuscaloosa. LSU comes to Tuscaloosa. Not really concerned about Kentucky. And you go to War Eagle to close it out. How you think it's gonna play out?
Well, I mean, this that season where I always look at okay where we playing Auburn at. I mean, and all the teams that you just talked about, obviously Tennessee, we get them at home, so that helps. Um, Obviously, Hendon Hooker's not going to be there, so I'm not sure how they go, where they go with quarterback. I can't. Was it Milton? Was that their guy that backed up
Yeah,
Hooker
yeah,
last year?
yeah,
Milton. Okay, all right. So maybe they go with him. I like that Alabama to win that game in Tuscaloosa. We got y'all LSU coming to Tuscaloosa. A&M, you never know. When we did
yeah,
lose to A&M a couple years ago, so you kind of look at that game a little bit. But I think, man, we get past Texas, we'll see how that thing goes. We've got them coming to Tuscaloosa. So for me, I look for be 11-0 going to Auburn, in my opinion.
yeah.
But it could be 10 and
Never
yeah.
know.
I mean, it could be. I just from what I see on the schedule. Now, again, you would not surprise me if you lose a game. Obviously, LSU, Tennessee, whatever. But I like our chances at home.
Yeah,
So that's the thing. And then we'll see what Auburn comes up with. We'll see what Freeze comes up with a quarterback. You just never know about going to Auburn. That's the only
yeah.
thing. You know what I
Never
mean?
know, man.
You just never know. And so, and it's obviously very possible you lose a game. There's no question about that. But other than that, man, I think they'll be a lot better off than last year with those two road games. Those two games coming back to Tuscaloosa, I think will help us. And I think at least 10-1 going against Auburn, and obviously that puts you right in the middle of the SEC race and in the college football playoff race.
All right, what you got, Leo?
Alabama record. Ooh, I say y'all definitely have a great shot at getting back to the championship game. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I can see y'all losing to LSU one game. I can see LSU because they brought back a lot of contributors, especially with them bringing back Jay Daniels is huge. That's huge for them.
True.
I can see y'all going 11-1 and losing to. I'm not gonna lie, that Texas game won't be easy for y'all. It won't be easy.
No,
It
no.
won't be. But I do think y'all get past it. Y'all go 11-1. I think y'all get in the playoff, which is what the expectation is at Bama. But I'm not sure what y'all will do after that. But I definitely think y'all are a playoff contender, and I expect Ty Simpson to be the show why he won the starting job, and I think that he could be an all freshman like a freshman All American type player, just off his high school tape and just off the few little moments he's had. He talking about terms of spring out watching the spring and whatnot. He looks the part in my opinion.
That I agree.
You got Brian.
Yeah, Alabama. I was just looking at their schedule as you guys were making your points. Texas game's the number one early game that really jumps out to me. They also go to Texas A&M, who I believe surely will be better. So I think there's a chance they have at least one loss going into the Auburn game. But I definitely think they'll be in the mix to be back in the college football playoff, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah. And I think I looked at the schedules as well, and the Texas game, man. This thing we're gonna find out a lot about Alabama and Texas of that Texas game. That I would say that's y'all first game, and not the Mississippi game, but
Right.
that Texas game is gonna be huge, man. The Mississippi schools, man, don't worry about them. Texas A&M, it's just been the last two games that just been really close, man. That could go either way, man. You playing them on the road in College Station, hostile environment.
Yep.
It could go either way. The winner of that game could like just flip the SEC, and college football as a whole. If A&M has a squad this year. Arkansas's, no chance. No chance. They have no chance to beat y'all. My opinion. Tennessee, I think y'all get the revenge from last season's loss. LSU, that's the big game
Yep.
as always. That could go either way. Huge game, playoff implications. Kentucky, no worry about that. And Auburn is the big wild card, like you said. You never know with Auburn. Even
Yep.
when Auburn has a bad year, they tend to get up for
Exactly.
Alabama. They tend to get
Exactly.
up for Alabama.
Yep.
And they got one thing they got going for them is they got Hugh Freeze as the head coach, and regardless of what the man did, how he got the players, he know how to beat Alabama. He's
Yep.
beat Alabama twice,
Yep.
and not a lot of coaches could say they've done that. But that's a big game right there. But other than that, man, I think y'all could take a L during the season, but I think y'all a playoff team. I think you're a
Yeah.
playoff team. Even if you took two L's this year, that still could be a chance to y'all getting in, just based on what everybody else does. They could fall off as well. So I
Yep.
think the Alabama playoff team, along with LSU,
Yep.
everybody else is just going to
Yep.
be behind the SEC West. Georgia, I don't really see nothing. I could be wrong, but I don't see nothing just slowing them down, man. I just don't.
Oh, man.
Florida's just not there yet, man. I just don't see nothing out of those schools out there in that conference. South Carolina, nothing. I don't see Spencer Rattler, threatening Georgia as
Hey,
well. But
Beamer
Alabama's,
balls.
yeah, people.
Yeah.
So it'll be the same old, man. So, all right, man. Just let the folks know where they can find you out on social media. Anything you got going on with your the content.
Oh man. Well, obviously my ball about the stop with Seawood. Try to do it weekly. I have not been able to do it as consistent as I want, but try to get some more consistency going. But you can follow me at Seawood on sports. Pretty simple. IG, Twitter, and Carey Wood Facebook.
All right, man. That's all we have for y'all for right now, man. It was good meet you tonight. Been knowing you for a long time. Been wanting to get
Yeah,
on our
man.
podcast. Had a lot of fun tonight. Good conversation. Looking forward to it. Maybe we could do it again during the regular season.
No
Maybe
doubt.
we could just hang out in space, just talk some NBA and some NFL. So that's all we have for y'all for right now. Give us a like, comment, subscribe to our channel. Let us know how you feel about the topics we talked about. Listen to this through Apple, Spotify, and give us a 5-star rating. Leave a review. Have a blessed night. Peace. We out.
Appreciate it.